Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Do you remember Gonzalo Lira? I do remember Gonzalo Lira. Well, he died while in Ukrainian custody. He was a journalist. He was a blogger. He was a guy like me. And he lived, if I remember correctly, in Kharkiv and Kharkov. And he was apprehended by the Ukrainian security forces, the secret police, the political police, however you want to call it. He was investigated, he was interviewed, interrogated, and then he was set free, I think as a warning. He continued to tell the truth and have his freedom of speech, obviously. And then he was paid again a visit by these guys. They arrested him, they charged him, and they told him that he should not leave the country, which is Ukraine. He is a Chilean American, who was, because he died in Ukrainian custody. He's back in business, not that he came back to life in body, because I'm pretty sure in spirit he lives in many of our brains, many of us, brain I'm talking about. So we have Elon Musk, the billionaire, who finally says something that people like me and others claimed before. I don't have hard evidence that Gonzalo Lira was killed by the Ukrainian government, but I'm not an idiot, and the same Elon Musk is not an idiot either, and many others, who, including Gonzalo Lira's father, who told us what happened. So Gonzalo Lira tried to leave the country, cross into Hungary. He was apprehended by the Ukrainians and then incarcerated. And while incarcerated, according to Gonzalo Lira's father, he was brutally beaten and he was deprived of the essentials, necessities to survive. And then he just died. The mass media here in the United States of America, the media operatives, did not even publish anything about this guy. But they published a lot about Navalny. Remember Navalny? He died in a Russian colony. Again, natural causes. Supposedly he was sick of something. No signs of being beaten or strangled or anything like that. But the media spoke for months after he died in the Russian penal colony, and his wife was around. I don't know where she's right now. You heard about that one because that fit this guy's narrative. Gonzalo Lira, on the other hand, was unimportant to them. Why? Because he was telling us, like many others, about what these guys are doing. So, Musk blames Zelensky for death of US journalist. Let me show you this. This comes from, obviously, Russia Today. And this is from the 20th of February 2025. Musk blames Zelensky for the death of US journalist. The Ukrainian leader, and I'm quoting, killed Gonzalo Lira, the close ally of President Donald Trump, has claimed. Was Gonzalo Lira. Billionaire Elon Musk, a close ally of US President Donald Trump, has blamed Ukrainian leader, he's not Ukrainian as I'm not Zimbabwean, Zelensky, for the death of an American national who criticized his government. Chilean-American filmmaker and blogger Gonzalo Lira died in Ukrainian jail in January 2024 while awaiting trial for, and I'm quoting, systematically justifying the Russian aggression. So that is, if you say, okay, but the Russians did it because NATO came over here towards their borders. The Russians said because the NATO had military trainers and weapons in Ukraine, and CIA had about, if I remember correctly, 12 bases over there training those guys. They did it because Ukraine broke its neutrality in 2014 per the 1994 Budapest Memorandum, where Ukraine was supposed to be neutral, but it wasn't because the coup d'etat. So if you argue, if you bring these facts and evidence, they will call you're systematically justifying the Russian aggression. So if someone says you're a bitch and you say, whoa, I'm not a bitch, I'm actually a nice guy, and you start bringing evidence to contradict, to justify or contradict the portrayal of yourself, then you are justifying your bitching whatever. You understand what's going on here? But Navalny is an angel. I'm not going to go into Navalny deeper because Navalny, I think, worked for some, all right? Nevertheless, and he was unjustified, how do you call it? Unjustly incarcerated and so on. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He violated his probation, or he was paroled. His parole, I'm sorry. Hey, what's up, meow meow? So nevertheless, let's move on. Let's see what this guy is saying, Elon Musk, and I'm quoting. Zelensky killed an American journalist, end quote. Musk wrote on his social media platform X on Wednesday, and I'm quoting, Zelensky cannot claim to represent the will of the people of Ukraine unless he restores freedom of the press and stops canceling elections, end quote. Lira, who moved to Ukraine in 2010, was covering the conflict with Russia on YouTube. The Security Service of Ukraine arrested him in 2023 after he jumped bail and attempted to seek asylum in Hungary. Lira claimed that he was tortured in custody. His father accused Kiev of being complicit in his death. The Ukrainian authorities denied any wrongdoing. Lira's father, Gonzalo Lira Sr., suggested in December 2023 that the Biden administration gave, and I'm quoting, at least tacit approval of Gonzalo's arrest. Musk has attacked Zelensky in the middle of a public feud between the Ukrainian PPP. So, what do you think? I don't have any evidence. I personally have no evidence to claim or to confirm or deny that Gonzalo Lira was abused in prison. His father claims that, the fact is that Gonzalo Lira died in Ukrainian custody. We're told that the Ukrainians are, human rights, and they should be in NATO, should be in the European Union. They're fantastic now, and they're fighting the evil Russians to defend our values, which are, like, for instance, freedom of the press. So if you tell the truth, you would be labeled with systematically justification of the Russian aggression. This is how you're supposed to parrot that. It is Russia attacked Ukraine unprovoked and unjustifiable attack. So Russia has no justification, right? Nothing, and it just did it because it was unprovoked. So if you show up, let's say you're my enemy, which is NATO, obviously, let's put things on the table, and the enemy shows up closer with the guns out, or let's say a knife, and I say, back off, back off, back off, stay, I'm gonna defend myself. And you come right here in my safety bubble, and I smack you real hard over your beak, like this, and I do that to you, and say, well, unjustifiable. Why? Because he will claim I had the right to come closer to you. He says nowhere else that I cannot come close to you. I can come. And your justification, because you felt threatened, we should not consider that. So it's unjustifiable why you smack me over my beak. And it was unprovoked. Not that I was coming with a knife over there since 1991 expanded NATO towards the Russian territory. No, it's not provocation whatsoever. Now, if we are to be baboons and accept that, imagine the reverse. And if the reverse would be valid, then it's true, yes, the Russians are the aggression. That is, let's say tomorrow Iran or Russia or China places some, military bases in, let's say, Canada. Do you think the Americans will be, hey, okay, man, it's your right to come closer with your weapons next to us? And you are my enemy, by the way. Do you think the Americans will say, yes, it's okay? If the American says, yes, it's okay, then yes, this was an unjustifiable and unprovoked attack by the Russians. But you know exactly what the answer would be from the Americans. Would be hysteria, would be a war right there, war. Just remember in 1962, whatever it was, the missile crisis in Cuba, 62, was it? Well, the Russians just prepared and started sending tubes, not nuclear weapons, atomic weapons or nuclear weapons, in 1960. No, they didn't do that. They just showed you the tubes so you can see them. They put them on top of ships. Why? Because Khrushchev wanted to tell these guys, back off, take your nuclear warheads, Jupiter, from Turkey. And then they had it in Italy as well. And eventually they did. Why? Because Khrushchev smacked them. The same way he had to bring the world close to an end, a fight, in order to do that. The same these guys. So think with unjustifiable and aggression and no provocation. It works only if you look at those two principles. If you want to find out if a law, a decision, a policy is fair, you look at two things. If that law applies across the board to everyone, that means United States of America, Russians bring troops and brings, I don't know, KGB agents clearly on 12, let's say, bases in Canada or Mexico, and then bring other things and say you're going to be in an alliance with us, right? And we are Americans, let's say, enemies. If you agree that's okay, if that's okay, that's across the board, and then you put yourself at the receiving end, like an American, say, okay, am I okay with the Russians doing that? And you say, no, I'm not okay. Then it's not okay for you to do the same thing. Remember the good book, don't die, don't do unto others what you don't want to be done unto you. We're all Christians with crosses, but then, that's just this. Why? Your actions, my friends. Actions speak always louder than words. So, Gonzalo Lira, maybe one day, maybe, I will tell you a scenario. I think one day we will find out that he was abused and he was tortured and he died in the custody after he was brutally beaten. That's my gut feeling, okay? And we're going to find out in a few years after Zelensky goes and all that. It's not going to be a big deal for these guys to shift the blame and say, no, it was not Zelensky, it was some bad actors in Zelensky's administration, not even Zelensky administrations, some crazies. Remember when Che Guevara was shot dead? Who did it? Oh, it was that guy working for the authorities. At whose orders? Who were behind all that? Well, you can't say it was CIA whatsoever. Go ahead and read about it. Now, Che Guevara is not one of my heroes, just so you know, but you can take things as they are. So he has, indeed, the pistol shot Che Guevara. Held by whom? By the order of whom? So the same here. Yeah, I think Gonzalo Lira, my gut feeling tells me that he was brutally beaten by a person, actually by some tools, okay? By a person at the orders of, I don't know, the, how do you call that? The justice system in Ukraine, but it was not the government giving any orders or nothing. That said, if that happens to these kind of people in that kind of country, what makes you think that they cannot come in your country and, I know, round up you one night? You just come back home, two people jump you, and they put you in a van, and that's it. Or maybe the Americans can come with a signed warrant for arrest, and what are they going to do? They can do this any day. You don't think so? My friends, you have to go through the real life, go around the block a few times, or halfway at least, and you're going to understand how really the world operates. It's good we have laws, it's good that we pretend we're civilized, and so on. At the inner core, we are the same we were 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and so on. We are the same animals. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.